Welcome to Scale Her Up, the show for female business owners and leaders who want to grow profitable, sustainable businesses without burning out. I'm Dr. Brenda Hector. I'm a business growth specialist helping women develop themselves and their businesses so they can achieve their goals and enjoy the lifestyle they dream of. In each episode, you'll hear inspiring stories, honest conversations, and practical strategies to help you start, grow, or scale your business. If you're new here, hit follow so you don't miss an episode, and come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community to keep the conversation going. So today I'm joined by Laura Weir, who's a director of direct lettings. Laura, thank you very much for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So let's start with direct lettings. Tell me about the business. What do you do?
So we're a letting agency based mainly in Edinburgh and Dundee. We have an office, a branch in each. However, over the past maybe 3, 4, 5 years, we've kind of really grown the business, and through links with other companies, we're pretty much servicing the whole of the East Coast, Scotland and Glasgow. So yeah, we're a letting agent. We do lots of different activities in terms of the facility managed service, where we just do everything for owners. We have a lot of repeat clients who come back to us just to help with letting. And more recently, we've started working with some build to rent companies as well, which are newer to Scotland, but massive in terms of working with businesses, funds, pension funds, and we help them rent out their property in Scotland where they potentially don't have a physical presence.
Okay. So I'm in Aberdeen. Do you cover Aberdeen?
We have properties in Aberdeen. We don't have a mass of them, and they just are run from our Dundee office, and then we use our links with other companies to do services that we need to do up there, but not massively.
So that Edinburgh, Dundee, and then now pretty much a bit of everywhere. How is that growth? Was it just organic or was it targeted or?
A lot of our things have been organic or through recommendations. In the past, I've worked for some much larger letting agencies, some that are larger because big companies have bought them over. So when I got brought to direct lettings 14 years ago now, the aim was for me personally and for the business as it was prior to me coming, was everything we had at that point was organic and on recommendation. And that is the model we've always, or I've always wanted to try and keep, in terms of all my staff know their properties, landlords aren't just a number, and we've been really careful. That's what we've tried to stick to. So yeah, I would say, no, we don't really advertise at all. We work hard on our reviews. We work hard on our relationships with landlords and clients. And then we've also had a help, or not so much a help, but the company that used to own direct lettings was a surveying firm, a large surveying firm in Scotland. And from that relationship with them, that's where we get maybe, or have in the past, got a lot of our clients, and it's client to client recommendation is mainly where we get everything.
So recommendations, referrals, strong relationships, like in any business, that those type of leads are much more likely to buy, aren't they? They're easier to convert than something that you've generated through advertising.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I actually tried we're about to rebrand our website, and about 6 months ago via our web designer, we actually went on to Google Ads and things like that very briefly, because for me, who is potentially, or not potentially, am a bit of a control freak, at that point, we weren't using it properly. So I was seeing money come out of our account for what I felt at that point was nothing. I very quickly stepped back from that. It's certainly something we're going to look to in the near future in terms of targeted ads. But my main thing is making sure we've got the staff to service it, because I don't want to change our business model and how we work.
Yeah, a really important learning there for anyone. If you're going to grow the amount of customers that you've got, you need to have the systems and the resources within the business to be able to do that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's tell me about Laura then. You said you've been with Direct Lettings for 14 years and you've worked
Yes.
in previous letting agencies. So
Yeah.
you've been in lettings most or
Pretty
all of
much
your
for
career.
like uni. My uni career, schooled in Edinburgh, uni in Edinburgh, left university with a marketing degree that what is that when you decide what you're going to do? I think at my point, I was actually still 16 because I got what I needed in fifth year, marketing and business management or something. Left uni, had a few years of partying and traveling and doing all that stuff, much to my parents. Yeah. Even discussed whatever, and actually got a job within a letting agency in a reception to get my parents off my back. A really lovely company called Alba Residential, through an old school connection, and worked there and became a director. And then and loved it, loved everything about it. Was single and lived and breathed the company. I was always interested in property and things. And in hindsight, maybe should have done a surveying degree or something like that. And it's a thing I always still think about. But actually, my husband's a surveyor, and I think what I do is more exciting personally. So yeah, I worked there. They got bought over by a big company, and it literally broke my heart. Just before I was getting married, and you could just see the properties fly out the door just because of the way this company was. Through no fault the company really. They just had there was too many properties and too many different ways of companies doing things, and trying to bring that together, it was just hard. So I got approached by one of the owners at Direct Letting and said, "Do you want to come across and do stuff for us?" It was a perfect time because I was getting married. It meant I could take a month off to do that, just the way it worked out, and start afresh. Brought quite a few of my clients with me, got a couple of lawyers' letters by doing that, and then started looking at how direct lettings was run, and we've made a lot of changes, or I made a lot of changes because I've just been allowed to run with it and do what I wanted to do with the business.
Did you join as a director?
No, I joined as whatever I really wanted to be. It was a great kind of opportunity. At that point, I probably didn't even know the structure or who the owners were. I knew one of the owners, who was the guy that brought me across. But essentially, it was, Laura, go run with it. There was a regional manager in Dundee who was quite a bit older than myself. So it's quite hard to come in and say, this is what's happening. The business had gone through a lot of structural changes even prior to me. They'd almost got bought over by a bigger company, and it was bought back when I came over because it just, again, in my opinion, it's really hard to make these structures work and have a letting agent working from almost like a call center. So I came back in and just ran with it. In the process, had 4 children when I was working with Direct Lettings, and I got offered the opportunity to buy into the business 2 years ago, and I've become a director since then. So it's essentially myself, and I've got, let me get this right, there's another 5 silent partners. One of them is not so silent and is very helpful and helps me with all the accounting kind of side of it, does all the end of year accounts and things like that. But other than asking them for support or their opinion, they really have just let me deal with it. And when I not just deal with it in the case of they'll wipe their hands with it, just deal with it in the case of I sometimes say, "Oh, what do you think about this?" Or "Do you think I should do this?" And it's very much been, if you want to do it and think it's good for the business, they've really backed me 100%. So it's been a really positive experience.
So I had on my detail that you're director, but are you managing director then?
I'm managing director. I'm the only one that works within the business, and yeah, I'm a shareholder as well.
Okay. Yeah. And tell me about, you mentioned that it used to be owned by surveying companies. So was that point 2 years ago that split happened?
No, that split prior to me even joining.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, it was essentially just Direct Lettings has always been a business, and it wasn't even named Direct Lettings, but then been a business that's grown on trust and people. Oh, I've got a commercial property, but I've also got 3 flats. Can you help? Can you manage them? So it was a business that really started by falling into it. That clients of another business needed someone to help and look after the properties. And that's how it started. And it's very much how it's gone on.
So on your journey then from in the previous job, doing something to get your parents off your back. But I guess since you've joined Direct Lettings and now got to co-owner and managing director, how have you had to change?
I think I've gone through, I was actually thinking about this last night because what will I be asking, this, that, and the other. I have had to change quite a lot, and a lot of the changes that have maybe happened in the past couple of years post children. My youngest is 3. When I've worked through all my pregnancies and haven't really taken maternity leave, not because I wasn't allowed it or anything, because I really felt like it was mine, and I am a control freak. I know a lot of people say that they are, but I definitely am. I had another director who kind of worked a bit more in the business. He's now retired, and he kept on saying to me, Laura, you need to, you need to get to a point that you feel like you've got enough staff underneath you that you can almost be the puppet master and deal with just what not you want to deal with, but what you should be dealing with rather than taking on everything. Now, I haven't really changed my staff. I have just had to change how I have dealt with things. There has been really stressful times along the way, but it is all self-inflicted stress. I'd had a C-section. I was looking at emails the other day because I was trying to find something, and there was emails coming from my account on the day that I had a C-section with my youngest little boy. I wouldn't do that now. I had changed my working hours a bit. I've changed from, I was very reactive in how I worked. I wanted to do everything myself. I was very reactive and just firing off emails at 3 o'clock in the morning, this, that, and the other, to actually getting to the point when I took on a really big contract that I was kind of going down south every day, driving back home, not seeing the children, but not doing anything particularly well. Or that's, yeah, it was how I felt, but it was. I'm lucky I had a team back up here that was keeping everything going, but flying down to Somerset and driving down to Somerset and doing bits and pieces and actually not doing anything particularly well. So I did get to a point probably about 2 years ago that I almost was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not doing well at home. I'm not being a good friend. You beat yourself up, but it was all because I was maybe not even trying to do too much, just trying to do it in a silly way, not taking time to switch off, taking my laptop on holiday, which I still do, and that's fine, but doing every payment run myself, doing everything myself and not using all these really skillful people that I had with me. So I have changed it. I've changed how I have, how I do my life really, in terms of I come into the office super early, but I do finish at 3, so I'm back to pick up the children from school, nursery. And because I take that time in the morning before the rest of the team come in, I can do all the managerial stuff things, sorry. And then when they're there, I can be present for the staff and help them and go out and do the valuations again, because it got to the point that I was doing so much. I wasn't doing the stuff I should be doing and just dealing with things that I didn't need to be. So yeah, I've massively changed, and it's only really been maybe the past 6 months. I'm like, people say to me, how's work? And they expect me to probably say, oh my goodness, I'm so stressed. And I'm not. I feel like at the moment we're at a good place.
So it's interesting. I hear that you've made a decision to not be stressed.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I've just had to look at my life. I make time for exercise. It's all the things that people tell you to do. I've really just started doing it. I think it maybe helps now that I've got 4 young kids, and I had 3 under 3 at one point, and I had a little break and had another one. I was trying to look after them. COVID hit, and trying to do that all at home with them at home. So I think it just got into a spiral, and then I was trying to work at night because that was just the way it happened, and we were so busy. Whereas, yeah, I just made a conscious decision that the kids were always like, Mummy, you're always on your phone. Mummy, you're always on yours. And I will always answer my phone. I don't work on a Friday, but I will answer my phone if somebody from the business needs me. I put an out of office on now, God forbid, to say that I don't work on a Friday, so that clients would know well potentially wouldn't get back till the Monday or over the weekend. So I've put barriers in place to, sounds dramatic to say, protect myself, but just be a bit more strict with my time and what I do with my time and make sure I use it properly.
Yeah, no, I think boundaries are really powerful, aren't they? And it sounds like you didn't really have them.
I did have them, and I think a lot of the issue was, again, if I'd said to the other directors who don't work in the business, oh, I'm going to take 6 months maternity, or I'm going to go down to 3 days because I've got a new baby. The issue wasn't them, it was the issue me being like, I don't need to do that. Why would I need to take time off? Or I think it's maybe just being a bit more mature about it. Nobody made me feel this way, but almost made me, I felt it was almost like a bit of a weakness being off to look after my child or what. And it's so ridiculous, but the issues were all mine. They were all my issues.
But I'm sure there are many people listening that have felt the same.
Yeah.
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 Yes. So that the first time you said control freak, I wrote it down, and then you mentioned it again. I guess there are pros and cons in your role of being a control freak. Talk about the benefits.
I think it's probably in most aspects of my life. I think the reason I like that is that I feel I've got a really nice, blessed life, and time is precious and blah, 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 all that stuff that most people think. In a business aspect, it was, and again, through no detriment to my team, because I've been here the longest, apart from some of my staff in Dundee have been here longer than me, but I tried to build up relationships with all our clients personally when I joined the company and things. It was almost, well, I can do it. Why wouldn't I just do it myself? So it was, in that respect, we took on a new software system. It was in mid-COVID, so we didn't get the people coming over from another country to show us how to use it. So a lot of it I did in my own time. So therefore I knew how to work it. So it was very much, oh, I'll just do it because I know how to do it. And therefore, not in an arrogant way, but I can do it better because I know how to use that report, or I created that report, or this, that, and the other. Yeah, I'm certain that. And I if I could do every valuation myself, I would, because why wouldn't I want to go meet that client or potential client? So yeah, a control freak in the fact of I like to just know everything runs smoothly. I don't mind if mistakes happen. I definitely do. And it's not, if a mistake does happen, I don't freak out about it. It doesn't change the way I feel in a bad respect. So and maybe not as much of I won't let it derail what we're doing or blame anyone, or I used to blame myself. I do so much now. But it was almost one of these things, well, I know how to do it, I'll just do it myself. And I'll do it better or just as good as anyone else can do it. So why wouldn't I just do it? And if I don't do it, it might not get done, that kind of thing.
I guess it means that you know all of the parts of the business. You can, yeah. Somebody was talking to someone earlier who was telling me about, she worked in retail and a manager moved over to Zara. And when they take a role in Zara, they have to do every role below them for a week as their training so that they understand the coalface, if you like,
Yeah.
as a manager. So I guess you're there, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. But interestingly, now, just with a letting agency, you have to document all your, like most on business, you have to document all your processes. And a lot of the processes that I have in place are processes that I brought with me from other companies that I adapted and things like that. And we have what we call our company Bible, maybe not the right word for it, but that's what we call it. It's got every single process in it and everything we do. But now, because I do have such a good team in place, I'm maybe in early in the morning and I'll think, oh, I know I need to market that. There's going to be no one in. I'll just do it myself. And I have got to the point that I'm like, oh, how do I do that now? Because I have set back and other people do it probably a lot better than I do. And sometimes I'll say to the girls of the team, I'll go out and take pictures and they're like, actually, Laura, you're not very good at that. And that's fine. It's got to the point now, I'd rather somebody say to me, I'm better at it because actually it's going to work better for the business if the best person that can do that job does it. And quite often it's not me.
It's really interesting, actually. You could be controlling and doing it yourself, but if there's somebody better, let them
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
And I'm liking that it's okay for somebody to challenge you and say, actually, you're not very good at that. Um, I want to dig into the culture then. How big's your team, actually? How many staff have you got?
Well, there is 6 of us in Edinburgh and another 5 in Dundee working within the business day to day. Yeah.
And is the culture in the business something that you work on, that you
Yeah.
focus on? Yeah.
Massively. Yeah, I think in the past, and none of the people are here anymore, but um, our Edinburgh office has always been fine because the culture's always been great in there because before myself, there was no Edinburgh office really. That there was somebody else working within the business and they retired, and that's how the Edinburgh office culture has always been very much we are all equal. I think because somebody can say to me, "Oh, Laura, will you go out and do that?" It's not like you need to ask me before you put something in my diary. I am getting better at it about putting stuff. But people already, our diaries are all open. So people will be like, "Oh, even today, what are you doing today?" Blah, blah, blah. This kind of stuff. The Edinburgh office is always been, with always a good team. The Dundee office is great as well. But prior to that, there was members of staff who it's just a different culture. It was maybe one of these things that it's IB and you would all have your individual jobs, great. But I did actually, when I started, there was actually a lot more staff in Dundee. And really, just through people naturally moving on, we didn't replace a lot of staff, but just honed in on what people could do. And we always try where possible there's not really a lot of promotion that can happen, but it would always be somebody, if we needed a new property manager, it's funny because everybody thinks that property manager is what you want to be. And it's, in my opinion, it's not as glamorous as you would think. It was definitely not. But if an admin member actually says, I would really like to do an outside role, I've always been one of that. I'd rather do that because they know the systems, they know the properties in terms of they've maybe not seen them as much as everybody else, but they're aware of the landlords, they've got the relationships with the tenants. So we've always tried to promote within, or if a good member of staff comes to me and says, "Oh, Laura, I love working here, but I feel like I need to do something else." Most of the people in, especially our Dundee office, didn't start off in the roles they're in now. They're in other roles and changed and have become property managers. Or there was one lady that was a property manager and it wasn't for her. It just wasn't. She was great with the tenants, but at the harder stuff and there are sometimes you have to charge people for things and blah, blah. She didn't like that side of it. And now does all our accounts, or all our payments and things that she took off me. The culture in both the offices now, I would say, is good, and it's very much open door policy, open phone policy. Although people do try not to phone me on a Friday now. And yeah, I would say it's a good culture to work in, and we don't really have anyone leaving unless they get poached by a big build to rent company that can offer them a lot more money than I can.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you were describing the career progression, if you can manage that for them, I think that's bound to mean that you're retaining your staff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll always, there's a couple more people going through their what's called the Letwell qualification. One of our guys in Dundee came from working in a paint shop and came in as admin, and he just started doing maintenance, and he was at the point that he was really good at his job. So the paint shop that he came from wanted him back, and they were offering him a similar amount of money. I can look at that. That's great. We'll do that. But we've put him through all of Letwell qualifications. He could, if he wants to become a property manager, which he does, he's got all the qualifications that back him as well. It's not just about throwing money at people, which everyone likes. And obviously we look at that all the time on a yearly basis as well. But we've put him through this course that he probably wouldn't have been able to afford himself. It benefits the business to have more qualified people, and it just puts him on the path that he wants to be on.
Brilliant. Brilliant. What advice would you have for another, because this podcast's all about women in business, what advice would you have for another woman following in your footsteps?
It's a good question. Probably to definitely be kinder to yourself than I've been. Everyone in my life will say, and it doesn't always help. People will say, "Oh my goodness, you're a superwoman." By no means am I a superwoman. My husband would say I'm definitely not a superwoman. I've got lots of good people behind me. That's not always helpful because in your head, or in my day-to-day life, when something wasn't going as well with health, whatever, I'm thinking, why is this happening? I should be able to do everything. I should be able to do everything I want to do. And whether that's business or just my personality, but definitely be kind to yourself. Just be open and honest. I think what I've tried to promote, but I've also said it to my other, pointing that way because one of the offices through there, one of the other directors, is if you want to do something or you want to go for it, just bounce that idea off someone. I think now that I'm at the other end of having the kids, and I think that there probably was 3, 4, 5 years that, yeah, I was still doing my job and I was still doing it well, but I wasn't looking at what goal I wanted to have. We had a good business, it was going well, but I probably now, children are all at school and nursery. There's so many other things I want to do with the company now. And I feel as I get older, the more confident in some respects I have to go do that. There's a couple of things this year. This summer I want to open up another office. Selfishly, it'll help me because it's near my house, because I travel quite far to work. But also is a more rural market that I'm interested in. But just I wanted to go do more things. And I think it's just not being scared to say to a peer, a work colleague, A, I need help, or A, I feel like I'm doing too much. If you genuinely are doing too much, the people around you will be able to see that as well within the business and offer you the help and support. So it's be kind to yourself in that respect. Admit that you can't do everything, and just, if you do have a goal or something or an idea, just say, because our business has grown, whether it be through myself, but through a lot of the staff members saying, Laura, what about this? This is a bit of a money earner, but it'll help our landlords this way, or we could offer this service. Just don't be afraid to say it, because even if you get told no, as long as there's a genuine reason, and a reason that's not just no because I don't want you to succeed other than me. Yeah. So just say what you need to say.
I love that. I love that. And I was going to ask you what's next for direct lettings, and you've
Yeah.
answered already. Another office targeting a rural market. Anything else? What does the next 12 months bring?
Uh, the next 12 months, yeah, I really want to get down into that borders market, because personally I've got a lot of a network down there, and a lot of potential clients. So that would be one that, yes, I'd be using the staff as well, but that will be one I've put off, because was at the point, why are you trying to, a lot of that will need to be driven by me, because I need to get another team down there, which would be great. But I've been going on about this for about 3 or 4 years, and everyone's within the business, just do it. And I haven't, because I felt that for whatever reason, I didn't want to quite put myself out there. I maybe probably felt that I was too overloaded with other things and do it, especially within a community that I know a lot of people. I didn't want to fail. So that's definitely my next thing within the next few, maybe not even an office, but just get some sponsorships over local sports and local companies and businesses down there. That will very much be myself out there. But that is one of the things that I want to do. And as a business, I really want to look at the build to rent sector more, because I feel that's a way that I can also give my staff. I've got a lot of good young girls, ladies, people coming up through the business that I want to retain. So I can give them, I've got a girl that's an operations manager that's really quite young. And when I say young, 22, 23, so a lot younger than me. She's just so good at her job, got such a old head on her shoulders. But I want to retain people like that. Or if I can bring on bigger contracts with build to rent companies, it really diversifies the roles that they can do as well. So that is, we're doing really good at that actually. And we're working with 3 providers at the moment. A lot of it, we kind of white label ourselves as a business to work to their companies. But it's exciting. It is lucrative as a business. We don't have to pay for advertising and things because we're also working with someone else. But it's also a hard slog, because these companies are so well run that they expect you to work how they work. So it's quite challenging in some respect. But yeah, so the build to rent sector, and I've not worked out quite how to pitch that, because it would probably come to the point that we'd be working for competitors of each other, but that's what I'm massively looking into to keep my team growing if needed, and it will need to, but interested as well.
Sounds like a really exciting time.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. We're running out of time, Laura. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I haven't? Anything you'd like to add to the conversation?
Don't think so. I think that's obviously because I didn't watch previous, which is my fault. So apologies in that regards. That's how I go. I just like to be able to chat and answer the questions you give me. So probably not. No, that would be all.
Good, good. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining me.
Problem. Thank you. Speak
And
soon.
thank you to you for listening to Scale Her Up. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show and leave a review. It helps more female business owners find us. Come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community to get support, accountability, and connection with women who get it. And remember, only 1 in 3 UK entrepreneurs are female, and men are still 5 times more likely to scale their business beyond £1 million in turnover than women. When we start and scale our businesses to the same extent as men, we'll add £250 billion to the UK economy and create millions of jobs. Ladies, you can do it, and your business can make a massive difference.